Hey, what's up guys? It's Unbound Brian. We're going to be talking going forward from Endgame. Stick around. Alright guys, so before we get into the video, if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, we're talking about what's going to be what might be happening going forward from Endgame. So, if you haven't seen the movie yet, I suggest you hightail it out of here. But if you have seen the movie yet, make sure you guys maybe give my my previous video a looky-loo. I did my spoiler review for Endgame. It was... Anyway, guys, so let's talk about going forward from Endgame. So, as you guys saw in the end of Endgame, Iron Man heroically sacrificed himself to defeat Thanos and his army, and he died in the process of that. So, where do we go forward? Well, here's the thing. We still have an Iron Man shoes to fill, so to speak. And that is where we're going to have some interesting topics of conversation, because my theory going from there is a lot of people are saying that it's going to be either Pepper Potts or Rhodey that really replaces the role of Iron Man. That would be the simplest answer, but, you know, this is fan theory, so, you know, why would we go with the simplest answer, right? So, I theorize that I think that they are setting up Ironheart for this movie, or not for this movie, for the future. Because, and here's my hint to that, because in the movie, the Avengers movie, he has his last will and testament recorded on one of his helmet, basically, and they're looking at a hologram of Tony Stark, and he's talking about how, you know, what his thoughts before going into the battle with Thanos and trying to undo the snap. So, of course, we go into that, and Iron Man, you know, of course, he's being recorded on his helmet, and this really hints at the idea that if Robert Downey Jr. wants to come back, there's a way to bring him back. For example, in the comic books, for a little while there, while the real Tony was in like some kind of coma, they had an AI made off of his brainwaves that, you know, it thought like Tony or whatever, only the AI was stuck in a perpetual state of drunk, but, you know, that is what it is. And Iron Man was, you know, in a way back. The AI would pilot the suits, and then he would go into battle. You guys get the point. But if he also was an AI for Ironheart's suit. I think the character's name is Riri Williams. And she reversed engineered the Iron Man suit, and of course she made her own. So I think that would be a great addition. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about is, of course, Captain America. Because as you guys know, Captain America, Steve Rogers, has chosen to go back in the past and age himself up to an older gentleman, so that he no longer has to be Captain America. And thus handing the shield to Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, and now will be known as the new Captain America. So, that one's really solved itself, and I believe that the role of Bucky going forward will take more of like his partner in crime, so to speak. Like as Black Widow kind of partnered with Captain America in the other Captain America movies, you know, you'll have that with Sam and Bucky, and I believe they're also supposed to get a show on the Disney's streaming service, so there's also that. Then we also have to go, so Cap's replacement is easy enough, but there is something that, a little fan theory that I have going forward. As you guys saw, Captain America was worthy to wield Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, and he goes back in time to bring back the Infinity Stones. But what we don't see is, we don't know if he brought back the hammer of Mjolnir to the Thor in the past. So, that being said, if he didn't do that, if he had kept the hammer and left it and kept it in his possession, then my theory is that means Mjolnir is on Earth, and there's only one other human being that is worthy to wield Mjolnir, and that is Jane Foster. So we could very well see a Jane Foster Thor, but also, this is also going to lead to the Thor Theorio, where Thor went with the Guardians of the Galaxy into space. They're giving him a ride to somewhere else, and he may very well be a part of the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie for a minute. The thing is, because they're going to be showing a new character, which I'll discuss in a minute. But here's the interesting part of that, of Thor going with the Guardians of the Galaxy. He could be also setting up his replacement, which is Beta Ray Bill. So we very well we have two characters that could take up the mantle of Thor. Now that the actual Thor has chosen to no longer be Thor. He's chosen to figure out who he is instead of who he's expected to be, as it's been stated in the Endgame movie. So the question is, will it be Beta Ray Bill or will it be Jane Foster? Either one would be interesting. I'm more interested in a Jane Foster Thor, but that's just me personally. I want to see Natalie Portman play a superhero. Now, I mentioned to you guys that there's another character that they'll be introducing, and that's in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They're going to be introducing Adam Warlock. If my knowledge of the comic books is correct, he started off as a villain, and then it ended up a hero. So I think Thor is traveling with the Guardians to set up Beta Ray Bill and have a character that is powerful enough to challenge Adam Warlock. And I think it's either going to be Thor or Beta Ray Bill, or possibly both. The theory, though, there is that, maybe Thor will die in a battle with Adam, and then his hammer Stormbreaker has to go to somebody, and then thus the alien Beta Ray Bill shows up, touches the hammer, and figures out he's worthy, and, continues, and they beat Adam Warlock, etc. So now we also have to talk about is what is the next villain that they could possibly do. And my theory, and I'm going to go way out here, one of the ones is like Annihilus or the Brood, I think, is the alien race that, or like a parasitic alien race. Another one is, but I theory is that the next big villain that they could be doing is Galactus. And the reason I say that is because Marvel acquired Fox. Well, sort of. Disney acquired Fox, which means now Marvel and Disney are working together. Or Marvel and Fox will be working together under the same company. So, with that being said, if we're going to be able to have Galactus, that means we also, which will lead to the next scenario, we can also see the X-Men and the Fantastic Four join the main cinematic universe, which personally I'm overly thrilled for. I really want to see, Wolverine and the Thing fighting alongside, who's left? Spider-Man, Hawkeye, etc. And I think that'd be really interesting. Now, I mentioned Hawkeye a second ago, which actually leads to the next thing I want to talk about is they also could be setting up Young Avengers, because we have now seen two young superheroes, Cassie Lang and Lila Barton, who in the comic books are members of the Young Avengers. Lila Barton temporarily took on the role of Hawkeye, and also is a talented archer herself, which, let's face it, Clint Barton's not going to be young forever, and neither is his actor, so they're going to be able to need to pass the torch on to somebody, which I think the way the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been being set up is it's going to be very much a passing of the torch type of story, or a way of storytelling, which I completely agree with, because look, when I went and saw the first Iron Man movie, I was in high school, Now I'm a grown man, and, I'm almost 30, so it's been, a decade since that movie, since Iron Man. And a decade later, it could take another decade for them to finish Phase 4. So, we'll see. I don't know. I don't think it will take that long. But it's definitely interesting to see where they're going to go forward. And yes, I am peeking at my notes. The other thing is that I'm interested to see is, you know, will there be a character to replace Black Widow, or is maybe, you know, Lila Barton being set up to maybe replace both Clint and Romanoff? I mean, I don't know. That could be an interesting theory. I would love to see that. And of course, this Phase 4 starts with Spider-Man Far From Home. So I am curious to see how they're going to do things. I know that Nick Fury is supposed to have some kind of interaction with Spider-Man in this movie. And I'm not sure whether Mysterio is an anti-hero or a villain. I don't know what status they're giving him for this movie, but I'm even curious. Far From Home also seems to be featuring maybe Hydro Man, hence the water attack. So there's a lot of theory where this could go forward. So here's my question to you guys, my audience. What do you guys want to see going forward from Endgame? I personally want to see more heroes. I want to see the X-Men and the Fantastic Four join the MCU officially within Phase 4. I think they have plenty of time to do it. They only need like 1 or 2 movies each, and then they could just, boom, done. Anyway, so like I said, you guys tell me what your fan theories for going forward from Avengers Endgame is. And if you like this discussion video, maybe you hit that like button. Let me know you're enjoying the conversation. And, and stay tuned, because later this week I will have a death battle video for you guys, or one of my it's like a versus video. I'll be pitting against Hellboy versus Dante from Devil May Cry, and we're going to talk about who would win in a fight to the death. So make sure that you leave a like for that going forward in the future. And I'm Unbound Brian, and I'll see you guys later this week. Peace!